This is a reminder video on how to use the Flexi Flip knitting needles. This was requested by a viewer. Thank you for asking. I appreciate the comment and the request. So if this video helps you, please let me know. If it doesn't, let me know and I can make a new one that helps you out a little bit more. So I'm just going to randomly throw some stitches on and show you how these work. So for instance, if you're knitting a sock, and my standard cast on is 64, so that's what I'll go ahead and cast on right here. And then I'll split the stitches up into 4 needles. It should be enough for 64 stitches. And you use these needles just like you would with the double points. It's just that you get literally flexibility in the center, so you can bend your project instead of being stuck on 4 stabilized, non-flexible knitting needles. You can do these cast-ons in different ways. You can cast them all onto one needle and then start knitting off of it, or you can cast onto each needle. Just depends on what your pattern calls for. And I can show you how to cast onto each needle too. Let's see what we have here. 4, 6, 8, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 2, 4, 6, 8, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 5, 60, do 4 more. Okay, so I've got 64 stitches on here, and I'm going to start moving them to the other needles. And as you can see, everything bends. So you'll still be able to knit in a tube fashion with socks or with a hat. But instead of being confined to straight needles that just don't move at all, these will allow you to bend and have literally flexibility. So I'm going to take a few off of this one. Okay. So I'm going to just let that needle lay right there, keeping the working yarn in the back still. That way I can knit off of this one. And if I tighten it up, that helps, at least for me, that helps a little bit. And you just keep knitting. Okay. And as you can see, we're already building circular. Now, if I wanted to, I could just go ahead and knit and then connect these two by joining them as I knit. But I'll go ahead and use fourth needle. Just be very aware. Don't let your needles start to twist and flip around. Make sure that things, if you were to line them up in a row, that spine all lines up. So just be very aware of that. You want everything to line up, because if you twist it and then start knitting, you have to take everything apart. So it's just a matter of practice if you're not accustomed to using double points or this type of double pointed needle. So I'm going to keep that needle down. Go ahead and knit some off of this. And as you can see, I'm leaving this needle here flat as much as possible. And this looks like it's twisting, it's the needle itself flipping. But if I leave it kind of flat and stay close to my surface, I can ensure that nothing literally flips around on me. Okay, what is that? 6, 7. Get a few more of these off. That's good enough. Okay. Actually, let's see. 2, 4, 10, 12, 14. 16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 1. 1, 2, 3. I'm missing a stitch. 2, 4, 6, 8, 1. 1, 2, 3. I'll just make an extra stitch in here. Make sure it's even. Or actually, I know what I'll do. I'll make a stitch on that needle. Pull that out. Take that off. I'm just trying to make it even. 2, 4, 6, 8, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 4, 5. Okay. Just trying to make it even on each needle, and I'm missing a stitch. Again, trying to keep everything flat and even. And once you get enough material knitted and it weighs itself down on all the needles, you won't have to worry about the needles moving around on you. I'm going to go ahead and make an extra stitch in here. Okay. Okay. Now to get this to join in the round, what I can do is pull this needle way over, pull this needle down like that, I'm gonna move this needle back so it looks like that. So that's where it would lay, but I'm going to pull that needle this way. What I want to do is move this needle over here and flip-flop these stitches, just like I would if I were knitting on a 9-inch circular. You don't have to do this. You could just keep knitting in the round and it should work out fine. Okay. Grab that working yarn and then just knit that stitch. Pull that needle into position, working yarn in the back, and you see everything. This is the tail. Let me pull this out of the way. Everything is lined up still. Nothing is twisting. The spine curves all the way around. And all I did was flip this one intersection. I flipped the stitches, as you saw, from one needle to another. So now I have a foundation to work on, and you just keep knitting around. And it does help, at least for me, it helps to have something like this laying flat, again, so things don't flip around on me. And I like to keep the needle that I'm about to knit off of, but where the working yarn is coming from, which is this needle, I like to have that needle down so I can get to the stitches on the needle I need to knit off of. I hope that made sense the way I said that. And yes, everything is starting to move, and that's okay. Sometimes that happens, but you can just kind of push them right back into submission. And once you get enough material on here, you'll be able to bend and flex more than you would with the straight needles. As I've mentioned a couple of times. Sorry, repeating myself. Okay, take that needle, pull those. I'm just moving things into position. Next needle, put the working yarn in the back. I'm just going to turn things and see how that bend, I can literally just bend it out of my way. That way it hangs and gets out of the way, which is great. Okay. Don't worry about that. That's just the tail hanging out. See, everything is still lined up. You can see at the corners, nothing is twisting. Let me pull this one into working position. Give all this a bit of a turn. I'm going to pull that one up and just kind of let it hang, get it out of my way. If this was a straight needle, it would literally, I'd have to kind of fiddle with it to get it out of my way. But since I can bend it and let it hang, it works out well. Just make sure that you don't have your working yarn coming from the top. Make sure you get that needle to hang out and away so that the working yarn is coming from the bottom. Otherwise, you'll end up getting a yarn over. And see, everything is nice and relaxed. Everything starts bending so that I can move the stitches around, move the needles around. Pull that to the back. Put this needle into working position. Pull this guy up and toss him to the wayside. You can see this one here on my left wants to bend towards me. That's okay. I can just flip him any which way, make him bend that way. And instead of it being a straight needle, if this was dead straight, it would literally be stabbing me in the center of my hand. Not fun. So I can just kind of bend him a little bit more. That way he's under my hand. Keep going around. Bad enough working with higher sharps and you get holes in the pointer finger. Don't like it when all of a sudden I get a nice stab mark in the center of my hand. Okay, turn. Put this into working position. Pull this little flexi guy out and just let him hang loose. See, he's hanging down. The working yarn is coming right off of that knit stitch from the bottom. That way I can grab onto it and just keep going around. And see, everything just starts to bend on its own, and that's fine. Because again, once you get more and more material knitted and it starts to really hang and weigh things down, it makes it even easier to control this. But just like with regular double pointed needles, it takes practice. to get used to working with multiple needles. Again, pull that guy out of the way. See, and I can just start moving things any which way I want and just bend it out of my way. And I'll grab what is considered moleskin. Sounds really weird, but since I mentioned getting holes in my fingers, not with these needles, they're high-highs, but I can push and push, I won't get a hole in my skin. But the size 0 needles and a little bit larger than those will definitely puncture if you're a knitter who pushes the point of the needle with their pointer finger. So let me get some more yarn here and I'll show you what I mean if you're not familiar. Put that down, let it just hang out of the way, and just keep knitting. See, I can even bend it to really get it out of my way. So you see, right now I'm just doing that. It's not even painful. I'm just kind of letting it fly off the needle. And then I just grab the loop on the needle like that. But sometimes when I'm going super fast, I'll push the needle back, pop it back over and over. And that continuous pushing with my pointer, with those super skinny high-highs, the smaller sizes, those will definitely put a hole in my finger. So let me just go back around one more time. Okay. So I'm back to the beginning of the round, and you can see as I was knitting, I definitely had flexibility. They work just like double points. Move this tail out of the way. You can definitely keep the needles from sticking you in the center of your hand when you're knitting on them. You can push your needle down and out of the way while you move to the next needle, but it still keeps everything stable, but it gives you the flexibility that you may want versus that rigid double point. And for that mole skin, this is just Dr. Scholl's. I think it's for feet, honestly. A knitter told me about this Earth Tones girl. If you're familiar with her channel, she is like the goddess of sock knitting. Just an absolute wonderful person. And she recommended this. You can get this at any grocery store, I think, definitely any CVS or Walgreens. And all you do is just cut a little piece off and stick it to your finger. It's just sticky right on the back. Just peel right off and it'll hold for a good while. And it just sticks. Just cut the amount that you need for your finger. And if you happen to be a knitter that pushes, as I showed, this will take the impact of those super skinny higher sharps, like a size 0 or a size 1 needle. It'll take the impact and it won't let the needle pierce through and stab you in the finger and make a hole. I recommend putting this on first before you get the hole in your finger. Yeah, live and learn. So that was a quick little rundown of how to use the Flexi flips. I hope this helped.